This week, between 18 January all the way to 24th January, 2 keys will be running. So I will explain the first one and then the second one. Now, between 18 January to 22nd January, we have the theme of realism. It's I-Ching key 60. So in realism, what it means is finding out what is practical to create a balance between innovation, striving for change, versus what to keep within policies, rules, and regulations. So collectively, you might find yourself re-looking into the rules, the policies, right? Even if it's not your work, your scope of work, you might be looking into regulations, whether they make sense. Maybe they're being too rigid, too stringent. Can we have a change around that? So collectively, this energy will be running in this couple of days. It could be for your children, as in the class rules, or it could be in your company, or even as a whole within the government system. So it might be a discussion at the dinner table as well. So it just comes up more strongly this week. And how we can strike a balance? Is it something like just simply following the old ways of doing things and finding out that they are really stifling, that this is not just the right way to go anymore, but there must be something else better that can be done? How can we have something that is more fair on a whole to the people around you and to yourself too? Something like, can you feel the wholeness of justice, of sacredness, or something that's more wholesome for everyone, not just for a specific few people, or a privileged few, or just to support the underprivileged even, but something that can work for all. So this week is all about that. So what I've just mentioned over here is about how do you create realism, and on the lower side of it, there might be a more rigid force of ensuring by hook by crook you have to obey these rules and regulations without talk, no negotiation. So that falls under limitation, okay, the energy of limitation. Now if you notice that coming in, whether it's in your family or whether it's your company, and you happen to be a leader or happen to be the parent, then you might want to hold a bit of reflection over this, because it might not be fair to the person on the receiving end. Right? So in order to move into what is practical, to keep what is good and to let go what is not, or even changing and adapting according to circumstances as of now, because those can be just a guide, but what we really want to implement at this point of time might be something on more flexible side. And when you're able to think along those lines, you are moving really into the energy of justice. Not a justice that we take it as on these material planes, more like, the right way. The rule says we can't do this, and that's full stop. If we do this, this is the punishment we're going to get. No, it's not that kind, but more like a more wholesome one that is more fluid. And yet again, knowing that this is a guide and there's some basic routines, basic needs of ensuring the safety, ensuring there's some law and order going on, and yet everybody's comfortable, and yet there's progress and change. So that is along the lines that we want to see and want to have. So when you are able to embrace that, then you are using the energy of realism, and it's going to show up between the 18th Jan and 22nd January, more apparent. Alright, now in the later part of the week between 22nd to 24th January, and it goes on to another few more days, overlaps into the other week of next week even, It's also another key called Jing Key 41. So it's the theme of anticipation. The label anticipation is about always dreaming of a better future. You're never in the now. You're always thinking of how it can become better, and you have a fantasy of how it can be more perfect. Could be a spouse, a relationship, or it could be earning more money. It could be something that you feel you have a fantasy idea of idealism around it. Alright? So at the lower levels, what is going to happen is there will be always a longing. Like it can be always better. And you're always thinking about dreaming about it, but never really getting there. It could be just an idea that's sparked on and on and on and goes on. Now, so the key around here to be able to move through anticipation into emanation simply means we are more grounded. We want to help this dream materialized in a physical form. And it's not impossible. Then of course it's like, what can we do to get there? What can we put in place? What do we not have? And therefore you adjust accordingly to allow things to happen, or you work hard and work smart to help it to materialize so that it doesn't just remain as a dream forever and as a fantasy all the time. So to be able to feel, I think what's important is to be able to feel the heart with the soul's desire. Feel it up. Not feel as in F-E-E-L, but to F-I-L-L, to fill it up. With the soul's deepest longing, what exactly you want to get out of this fantasy? What is it that you're not satisfied with? How do you come to a sense of contentment? How do you help it to materialize? It's not impossible. In fact, as said, according to Jing Key's guidance book, Mozart actually has this particular key. So it's about coming down to really being grounded about it, allowing yourself to believe in the soul's longing, fill up your heart, and work with it to make it happen. Of course, balancing everything else around, like for example, Jing Key 60 and the other keys as well. So there is this part about getting there. There's this part about not just an appetite, always feeling like once I have it, or I have this at this point, you feel hungry again, or you feel like it's just too much, I need to rest. But to be contented at this point of time, that is really good enough, and to feel it, and to feel happy, satisfied, fulfilled before moving on again. Yeah, and that is how you can really get into this keys balance. So especially if you happen to resonate with this particular energy of anticipation, share more, right? What's happening. So there are two keys running. One is realism, which after that moves into anticipation. So just observe yourself and the different parts of your life, contemplate on this, and then share. Feel free to share in the space below in the comments how it has been for you. Alright? And that's all.